Hello, beautiful family. We are live on TikTok and YouTube. It's been a hot minute since I've done a live, so I'm really excited. And I originally was going to do this live, I kid you not, last night at 11:30 p.m. because I received such a deep download and Spirit was like, 𝐸𝐤𝐤, just wait. You will share the message when it's meant. And originally I was supposed to go live yesterday, but here we are. So it's just divine timing when I'm meant to come live with you guys. So again, I'm live on TikTok and YouTube. If you guys see the replay on YouTube, let me know with hashtag replay in the comments and check in with yourself and let me know how you're feeling. All those on live, hello. You're here for a reason. So it's so nice to see you. And I want to just deep dive into a channel message with you guys and really share with you some deep, deep medicine with you. So sit tight. If you're at work, chill. If you're at home and this is your way of just like relaxing, cool. But let's check in. We just had, as I'm channeling this, and it's this channel message doesn't matter what time you receive it. Even if it's after the Scorpio New Moon, this message is going to be timeless. Okay, so I just want to share that. Hello, hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from, by the way, in the chat and also in the comments. So the Scorpio just finished, Scorpio New Moon. It was potent. I'm curious to see how you guys enjoyed it, how it was for you. Maybe you didn't enjoy it. Maybe it was so potent. But I've been receiving a lot of downloads. And one of the things that came up for me and what a channel message that I feel like, especially for those of you who are in this time of abyss or transition, or maybe you're ready to go and you're like, yes, 222 angel number. Yes, I love this. And I wrote down this message. Hey, Chicago. Hey, San Luis. Hello, hello. Hey, Brittany. Hello, Davis. Okay, so this is what came up, and I had it on my notes. So I'm going to read it for you guys, and I'm going to go deep into it. And it's so funny because Spirit will give me these little one sentences, and then I find myself channeling. So I got a 30 minutes, guys, before I talk to one of you beautiful souls who are applying to the Earth Dharma. So let's get into the channel message for you. I don't want to waste any time. Hello, Atlanta. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so going through it means going through the motions of self. Stop making it a burden. Start seeing it as a blessing of your biggest prayer. So a lot of the times when we're going through healing, when we're going through expansion, when we're going through growth, we always say, I'm going through it. You know, this is a time of shadow. This is a time of transition. I'm going through a spiritual awakening. How many of us have gone through that? Put a fire emoji if you have said that to someone or you have been in that mind process where you're like, I'm in the dark night of the soul. I'm going through a spiritual awakening. I'm going through a big change. My life is shifting. Like, we've all gone through changes. So that's every single one of us that is watching this, right? Now, when we receive that change as going through something, when we receive that change as something like it's a process, right? We are now defining that part of us that is trying to integrate in the human as a process, as a burden, as exhausting, as pain, as, cloudiness, unclarity, whatever you want to use it as. So the reason why I say this is because it was interesting when I was holding the initiation for the Earth Dharma. If you don't know what that is, it's a program to teach you how to space hold, and it's a big initiation. They have a 2-week initiation in person where they learn a lot. If you're interested in that, you can go check that out. But during the process, there was a big thing that I understood. And during my time of integration, I realized this when I'm listening to people, the way they speak, your comments in the chat, what you're experiencing in the moons and new moon, Scorpio new moon, Gemini full moon, whatever it is, right? And as I'm receiving the messages, as I'm receiving the downloads, I'm hearing that my process of transition, the version of me that is trying to integrate in my human, is a burden, is exhausting, is, all of those things. We have to remind ourselves when we are birthing into a new version of ourselves to use words of compassion, to be in a space of compassion. Because every time that we say that version of our shadow or that version of ourselves we're going through the motions of it, right? We're going through the motions. We are now making the biggest rebirthing moment of ourselves as a burden. So what you're doing is you're coding your new being, the version of you that is coming in as a burden, and we hold it on our shoulders, and it doesn't actually integrate the spirit with the human. And this is a very common thing I see with a lot of people. If I'm losing you here, I'm going to go over it a little bit deeper because Spirit is speaking really fast. But what I'm trying to say with you is that when we go through life changes, divorce, breakup, new career change, we don't know who we are, dark night of the soul, you know, you're learning a new practice, a new modality, you are deciding to move to a new home, new city, you're taking a next step in something, whatever it is for you. You can let me know what change you're going through right now as you're receiving this message, right? You are the words you say during that time of the void and the transition is what that version of you defines itself to be. So let me give you a perfect example of this, right? Let's say that you are starting a new hobby. Your inner child, your little self is deciding to start playing guitar, right? You've never played guitar before, and your younger self decides to pick up that guitar. Now, you know, or maybe you sense that when you pick up that guitar, that you don't know maybe strings, you don't know songs yet, you don't know all these things. The version of you that doesn't know or hasn't played guitar is now training that version of you with whatever its perspective is of if it's going to succeed or not. So, for example, if you're very hard on yourself, you are training that version of you that wants to be, a musician or sing or play guitar or explore this new gift. You are now telling that version of you, hey, by the way, it's going to be a burden to learn the chords. It's going to be a burden to learn the songs. It's going to be a burden to learn this and that, right? You are now coding the version of you that is your future self and saying, hey, it's going to be really hard. So imagine what it makes you feel if someone were to tell you, by the way, beware of this, do da 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 da. There's no praise. And this is the biggest secret that I see a lot of us aren't doing. And that's why right now, collectively, our world is going through what it is. We need to praise our version of us that's in transition. And when I say praise, it means love. Doesn't mean like ego, like just pretending to embody. It means love. Praise that version of you that is not knowing what's next. Praise that version of you that is holding everything and what it is doing right now. Praising it. Because when you can praise that version of you that is going through it, when you aren't going through it, when you're in a season, when you're experiencing, you're receiving all the manifestations, everything's going as planned, you're going to have tenfolds of that energy because you can hold yourself in the void. You can hold yourself when you don't know what's next. You can hold yourself in what is, but what you're doing is you're showing up and you're praising the version of you that is deciding to show up. I had a beautiful interview with someone today who wanted to apply for the Earth Dharma. And, when we chatted with them, I said, hey, what are you doing in your life to help you go through what you're going through in the darkness right now? What I'm transitioning in the translation of that is how are you holding the version of you that wants to get to the light and is figuring it out? How are you nourishing? How are you showing up in the best way you can, in the most conscious and embodied version of you that you can today with love? And when you can do that, what happens? That version is you, oh, okay, it's not going to be dark forever. I'm okay. It self-regulates itself. That is something as a child, as a baby, as a little cell in the womb that you already innately know. But when we start to believe that version, that void, that part of us that hasn't made it yet, that part of us who isn't there yet, that doesn't know what's next, is the part that we're trying to run away from that space, we create a burden. And what happens is we miss the biggest lesson, which is how to praise ourselves in all facets of who we are. That's huge. That is the biggest lesson that any being should have. And unfortunately, when we don't praise ourselves, what happens? It creates space for us to question who we are, for us to hate ourselves. I don't like that word, but sometimes some of us bring those energies, those lower frequency words, and we code it. And that period that is that transition becomes a lifetime of pain, becomes a lifetime of wondering, a lifetime of unclarity. When you can choose to step out of it just by praising the version of you right now, loving, praise equals love, loving the version of you right now. So I want you to ask yourself as a channel message to you, to the version of you that is wondering, I don't have this, I don't have that, I did. What are you doing to the version of you right now that is going through transition? What are you doing to the version of you right now that is trying to make it work? When you see a child, think of your inner child. I want you to take a moment, bring the energy of whatever age of your inner child is coming through right now. This could be 6-year-old, 12-year-old, 11-year-old, 3-year-old, whatever version of you. And let me know what version of you comes up. And they're like, ooh, we're here. Yes, 𝐿𝐤𝐤, whatever she's saying is firing my soul. Like, let me know down below. Okay. So as you're connecting with this version of you, let's say your 6-year-old self, and you're feeling the energy of that version of you. We're going to go deep. Okay. You guys know my channel messages are always healings, right? I want you to get the depths of it. We've done this for what? It's been 10 minutes, almost 11 minutes. And look how much has opened up. So yeah, this is the depth of it. So when you go into this part of your 6-year-old self and think of something that you wanted to do, think of something that you were curious about. Teen self. It could be singing, it could be drawing, it could be anything fun and playful, anything that your inner child just wants to do, right? Think of that version of you. Now, when you think of that version, you embody the emotion of what they feel, and they pick up that, they explore that thing, they explore what they want to do. And they're in the transition, they're in the void. They don't know if they're going to like it. They don't know if they're going to become the next best guitarist. They don't know if they're going to be someone who's going to be the Picasso of the world. Why are they putting all these pressures on themselves? Because maybe an adult in the room brought something and put an idea of what that exploring means. And you change it from exploring in the void to now pressure to a result. And I'm going into the Gemini full moon here because I can feel the energy of it. So if you guys, again, whenever you watch this, discredit what I'm saying here if you end up watching this later, because I know it'll be up. But all this to say, one of the lessons we're receiving here is understanding that there is a difference between us making a checkmark list during that space of transition. What I mean by a checkmark list, it's a list of things that we need to do in order for us to get here. I can tell you right now, with the consciousness and the expansion of this world, people who are the list makers, people who are looking and comparing themselves to themselves even, and those who are looking at that space, are those are going to feel more discouraged. I'm saying this with love, because you're putting that pressure on that little self that wants to learn and explore the guitar, the Picasso, or the painting, right? The magic, the dream. So when you have something that you are working towards in a void and you're escaping the void by making a list to getting where you want to, that means you're creating an ideology, an idea of your being that if you succeed in it, you are considered valuable. And if you don't, well, I'm not. I'm everything that was said for me to be on the other end of that. You are now creating a value. You are waiting for your value to be defined outside of you. And that's where you find a lot of people feeling lost on purpose, dharma, wanting to go and shift their life, a relationship. Do I commit? Do I not? This is why. Because this is the missing recipe. This is the missing part that no one talks about, that I'm sharing with you to save you some years and save you some healing. So again, when we think about that, right? Making a list means this is what it is. And if it's not this, it's not that. That's what you're coding into your DNA. That's what the somatics of your consciousness is being coded. If it's not this list, it's not what I want. It's not the manifestation. It's not here. But we know that it's your birthright, right? Channeled from divine, it is your birthright to receive what you're calling in. It is your birthright to know that wherever you are right now, that is feeling whatever it's feeling, it's not forever. Remember, healing is not a state, and neither is an emotion. Deep. It's not a state. But why do we make it a state? Because we keep calling it to be the state we want to be, because we define ourselves by that emotion. We're going to feel very empty. If the world were to look at this, just this last few minutes of this, we would have a lot of a higher frequency in this world, right? The depth of it in the deepest way. So let's come back to the main purpose of this channeled message. What did I start this video with? I shared, Going through it means going through the motions of self. Stop making it a burden and start seeing it as a blessing and your biggest prayer. So when I said that, going through the motions, what are the motions? The motions are the void. The motions is the understanding of ourselves. The motions is figuring out who we are as a being. The motion is not knowing what I want to manifest just yet. The motion is not knowing how I'm going to get to where I want to be, how I'm going to be helping the collective, how am I going to be a mother, how am I going to be a family member to this person or have a soulmate. We don't know what that is. Are you meant to know? Absolutely not. And when we don't put pressure on not, meaning to know, what happens is we end up receiving ourselves in all facets. And when we end up receiving ourselves in all facets, what happens? You are no longer a burden, but rather you start to see what spirit has for you in your reality. Take a moment right now and ask yourself, if you are in a space where it's not exactly where you need to be, what is the opportunity and the blessing that spirit has given me that I haven't seen? How is this actually answering what I want to manifest and what I'm calling in? It is calling you to shift your frequency. It is calling you to shift something beyond anything that you've ever thought you had the power to. But guess what? Spirit only shows you things that it knows you can handle. So that means the human mind, those thoughts that you're saying of saying, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't, all those things that you're saying is conditioning to keep you where you're at, to keep you in the burden, to keep you in the pain, to keep you in this space. Now that 𝐿𝐤𝐤's brought this up, I know that I don't want that. The quantum of the universe gives you everything and everything. What do we always say? We are abundant. How many mantras have you heard of that we say, I am an abundant soul. Money comes to me easily and quickly. Yes. But what people don't talk about is we can also frequently say, pain comes to me easily and quickly. Da comes to me, right? So it goes all ways, all facets of the energy. So you are now aware of it and you're asking yourself, after this, receiving this channel message, what do I want to recode? What do I want to shift? What don't I want? Let it go. Don't only let it go, but the 80% of it is now asking yourself what to fill it in with and trusting every single day that I am praised, I am loved, and I am worthy for everything that is there. The simple starting of that in your shower, of saying those affirmations, is going to shift you completely. Is going to shift you completely. One of the biggest things that I heard and I feel like is something to share with is I am significant. I am important enough to go through what I'm going through, not as a burden, but as a life experience. The human life we signed up for was an experience of significance, was an experience of purpose. You're asking what your purpose is. Hello, the significance is here. But when you designify, or whatever you want to call it, it's not even a word, when you reduce the significance of yourself, you remove that completely, what happens? You don't feel like you're significant anymore. You feel nothing. So you start to latch on things outside of you that you feel is significant, false significance. And then when that thing is not there, you feel this void and this emptiness. Minimize, exactly. So I'm significant, you then minimize your significance completely. So I just want to share that deeply with you, that it is up to you to recode that. Let's go one more sentence into it. I matter. What part of you doesn't feel matters? What part of you that is in the void, the dark night of the soul, the shadow, the whatever, the happiness, the pleasure, the whatever that you're in, the happy, whatever it is, what part of that matters? All of it matters. But when you decide to reject it in denial, you're now saying a part of you doesn't matter. And let me tell you, the human experience is to feel and experience it all. It's to feel the scarcity and to feel the abundance. It's to feel the grief and to feel the love. It's to feel the anger. It's to feel the happiness. It's to feel it all. And when you reject to feel something all, that means you're rejecting to feel the significance of your being and your spirit that has come here to directly be here to experience all that is. You are now removing yourself from the abundance of living. Let that sink in. The second part of that, the second secret sauce to all of this channel message is I am lovable. When did you feel any of your emotions being and part of you was not lovable? When did you get rejected by someone and then take that rejection as meaning I'm not lovable because of this? You then remove that space in your heart for love into I'm missing something. I'm rejected. Something is missing. That means I don't matter. That means I'm not significant. You've completely removed your soul's reason to be here for the human experience. Once again, they are all connected. I am lovable. What does that mean to me? That means that every single one of you, no matter how many divorces you've gone through, no matter how much pain you've gone through, no matter how much you've cheated or have been the cheater, no matter how much that you have gone through the shadow, does that mean you're less lovable? Think about that, because that's a part of you that is living in the life of guilt that wants to be loved. And even as someone on the other end of receiving that version of that person who's lack of love, if there's someone in your life that you're feeling, that affects you. And then you feel insignificant, you feel unmattered because everything's connected. You're connecting your energy with that person. Now, this doesn't mean to now let go of these people. It means to look at the lesson, because then we just attract that person again and again and again in those relationships. There are lessons for us to understand that life is significant, and they are through relationships in the most beautiful way. I am enough. This one is a long one, and I can do a full video on it. But when we talk about I am enough, what are we talking about? We're talking about that if I feel like something is missing, I'm scared, money, finances, whatever it is, that means the part of me that has created what is now is not accepted. You're rejecting that version of you. Now, there's a difference of I am enough of knowing that everything that you are right now is equally enough as the future you that you're working towards. But if you're constantly waiting in the waiting of enough, you're waiting for spirit to drop the enough to you, that means that you're going to be staying outside of that space for a long time. So when you remove I am not enough, when you remove that energy, when you don't think you're enough, you attach you attach yourself to not being enough. Enough money in my bank account, so I can't do da 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 da. Then that means I'm not significant. I'm not da, da, da. You've created a story. You see what I'm saying? So again, coming back to what I mentioned, the download I wrote it at like 11:30 p.m. Going through, it means going through the motions of self. The motions of self means seeing that you're enough. The motions of self means seeing you're lovable. The motions of self means I am significant. The motions of self means I see myself and I receive all of it and I don't deny myself. And that is the biggest blessing. An empty promise to humanity is saying that you are not enough. You are not significant. You are not loved. That is an empty promise to humanity. And if anyone has told you that in your life, this is your opportunity. If you're feeling this trigger, if you're feeling this fire, if you're feeling this energy moving and things coming up, this is an opportunity for you to change the story and say, hello, I see you. Don't just minimize it, change your affirmations, and that's it. Feel it, embody it, process the part of you that doesn't want to feel significant or doesn't feel significant. Process the part of you that doesn't feel like it matters. Why is that? Process the part of you that doesn't feel lovable. Process the part of you that doesn't feel enough. When you can do that, you are then opening in a whole other opening for yourself and for all those related and your ancestors and your partnerships and your friendships and the strangers and your people that you work with. You become a walking ceremony and healing for the collective. This is the type of work and depth that I bring to people, and I really welcome in. Thank you so much. Really welcome you in, right? It is up to us to receive this depth of ourselves because that is important to us. Sorry, I'm receiving you. Thanks for all the love and the flowers and roses on TikTok. But I just want to share that. I want to check in. How are you guys feeling? Put it in the chat. If you're watching the replay, put it in the comments. What are you feeling receiving this channel message? The depth of it is so deep. It's so fiery. And It has completely changed my perspective again and again every time I listen to this exact message over and over again in my life. I can then recode automatically my being when something comes up. I have an opportunity, I have a choice to do so, and you do too, whenever you rewatch this or watch this again and again. And this is what I call healing. This is just 5% of the healing, right? So now the real test comes in. Everything I shared, if you've made it to this far in the channel message, it's up to you to take everything I just shared and apply it to your life. Now ask yourself, how am I going to apply that I am significant? How am I going to embody that I matter? How am I going to embody that I am lovable? How am I going to embody that I am not a burden? And this void or this part of me that's going through whatever it's doing is actually an opportunity for me to embody and to receive and to love a part of me that I didn't even know. This is the collective sickness of the world. These words, the opposite of it. When we can open up those spaces and give true love to these depths and embody it, but first let the shadow speak for itself, we can understand ourselves and we can understand other people. And when we can do that, we are then becoming a walking energy pillar of love for every single person. It's not all love and light all the time, but we do want to be in this space of love. This is why we're doing this work, is to be more peaceful and to enjoy our life and to feel it all, to really, truly feel it all. So stop looking at your time and noticing, oh my gosh, I need to get over this. It's been this much. Stop looking at being attached to it. 444. Awaken yourself to what is here in the truth. When you can see truth in your life and you look at it as hard as it is to say it, to embody it, trust me, your whole life is about to shift and change forever, and it will continue to change forever. So with that makes it exactly 30 minutes since I've been on here. So I need to wrap it up for you guys. If you feel the depth of this process and you really feel like you want to go deeper into what I'm sharing, you resonate with this, I highly suggest you emailing me for one-on-one sessions and also to go to the retreats, medicine retreats. We have some beautiful ones. There's even a Costa Rica one that's happening with 𝐥𝐤𝐤, breathwork, and various other medicines. I'm also hosting 2 in Portugal that's happening, the Activated Goddess and the Ancestral Retreat. And there's the Earth Dharma training, which I highly suggest. It closes at the end of this month. And I know there's a lot of you that feel called and maybe don't feel like you're loved enough, held enough, maybe even significant enough to do it. But guess what? We all are. But there's a difference with some of us that are stepping into it so we can be a mirror for other people, so we can be a walking light, a pillar of light for our community and embody it fully. So I truly, deeply want to invite you, if you've been feeling called to learn how to be a healer, to learn how to be a space holder, you can apply to the program. Start with the meditation. You'll be sent an email for the Google form. And then I will have a chat with you via Zoom to see if it aligns and to listen to your story of your Dharma, to get to know and to see. And will you get resistance? 100%. Will you be able to, you have to change your reality right now before you start in January? 100%. But with that, there is a bigger version of you that is being called to be loved, significant, and opened up. And there's a huge community that's going to help you with your big mission as well. That's also what's part of this program. So it's not just a program, it's much deeper. So if you're feeling vibrations, frequency, let that be an answer to say yes. And I will see you in your application. And yeah, I'm just so excited. Don't forget to like, share this with a friend so we can bring this collective message to the world. And on YouTube, TikTok, you guys can go on YouTube to rewatch it and send it with friends and follow for more. And I'll see you guys really soon. Mwah! Love you lots and sending you the deepest love. And